You should see the foreclosure style headlines I see on a daily basis. Welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. Today is June the 16th. Looks like we are more than halfway through the month. Hope you're doing well. Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. Here is just a small example of what I see on a daily basis. 8 million homes in default. Housing market is crashing. Defaults continue to soar. Foreclosure tsunami. Delinquent mortgages. Foreclosure boom in your city. Tidal wave of defaults. Banks foreclosing on millions of homeowners. Difficult short sales approved. Which brings me to a great opportunity. If you've not seen my 5-video playlist on the top 10 reasons why we will have another housing crash and crisis, you should check it out. It's a playlist on the channel here, which should be easy to find. And by the way, I've got an accompanying, report that goes along with it. So to download the top 10 reasons why we will have another housing crash and crisis, just go to HousingBubble2.com, put in your email, and you can download this free report. All right, so information came out the other day. It was the May foreclosure report. Adam Data Solutions, basically on a monthly basis, produces this. They also produce it on a quarterly basis. So what they're basically saying to us right now is foreclosure starts were up 36% year over year, which is, there's a little bit of uptick in that, which is great. And we're going to look at it, and for whatever reason, they're not putting that much information in their news release, so I picked it up from DS News here. So what we're doing is we're going to look at, putting the foreclosure trends in perspective, which basically saying that, listen, because of COVID and because of the shutdown for court systems and lenders or whatever a year ago, clearly when there is an increase in foreclosure filings or foreclosure starts, it's going to show a bit of a jump. My point is we're starting to see it, and the reason why we're starting to see it is because things are opening up and the backlog has to sort of be, cleared out. So this is what's going to happen in the very near future. So we really have a situation where if we take a look at what's happening right now, we've got Nevada. When we talk about the states with, the highest foreclosure rates, we've got Nevada, Delaware, Illinois, Florida, New Jersey. That's your top 5, which if you think about it, at least 4 of the top 5 shouldn't surprise you. Nevada, Illinois, Florida, and Jersey. Delaware is, an outlier here and there, but as I mentioned, every so often we'll see a smaller state sort of spike up with respect to the volume. But really, the top 4 out of the 5, no surprise here whatsoever. Okay, essentially, while the numbers of foreclosure activity are significant, it's important to put things in perspective. Is saying the guy from Realty Track, which basically is saying, the foreclosure activity was virtually nothing last year. So if we see the uptick, don't be too surprised. But again, as I said earlier, my point is we're seeing upticks. We're going to continue to see these upticks because everything is opening up its time right now. So they look at about 220 metro areas with a larger population. With those with at least 200,000 people, the highest foreclosure rates in May are Champaign, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois, Cleveland, Ohio, Bakersfield, California, and Mobile, Alabama. So that's kind of interesting. We're also seeing, lenders begin the foreclosure process on about almost 6,000 properties in May, which is down a little bit from April, but up 36% from a year ago. Counter to the national trend, states that had at least 100 foreclosure starts in May, so the greatest monthly increase in foreclosure starts included Ohio, Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Virginia. So you can see that the percentage points, they're 50% or more, which is significant. Again, keeping everything in mind, caveating of where we've come from, and therefore when things start to increase, let's not get too out of control here. But lenders repossessed about 1,300 properties in the U.S., which really I guess you could say the states with the greatest number of repos that became REOs were California, Florida, Illinois, Texas, Ohio. This should not surprise anybody here because these are typically your top leaders. Always in the top 10 for foreclosure filings, foreclosure starts, foreclosure, processing, foreclosure sales, the whole bit. So we're starting to see what I would call traditional foreclosure, I guess you could say volume and states and just sort of what was happening back last housing crisis. It's starting to pick up again. It's almost like a mirror image. So the states and locations that were having problems before are kind of back to where it's going right now. All right. Now, to me, this is still about market manipulation. So things are starting to open up depending on where you live and what state you live, what county you live, whatever. But my point here is that the housing narrative continues. So what do they tell us? Well, don't worry about home prices. Interest rates are good. Values will continue to rise. Don't worry about forbearance. Why? Because we've got all sorts of solutions for the forbearance people. That we keep seeing weekly drops, so that's not even going to impact the marketplace. Oh, don't worry about those big investors. Hey, we've just seen a whole week's worth of all this information, articles about, these big investors, Blackstone, BlackRock, other people buying whole neighborhoods and things like that and doing rent to own. But, don't worry about that because they're providing much needed accommodation for us that need it out there for renters. It's almost like they're telling us to ignore what they are doing. So it's kind of slowly, sort of working us over from a mental perspective. And my sort of concern here is that we are given a false sense of security in the housing market. That's really, what's happened. My perspective, and again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or, sky is falling type person. I'm just calling it like it is, and I'm calling it like it is from a perspective that doesn't seem to be getting picked up or really, discussed much or acknowledged by mainstream media and a lot of the journalists that are out there. So we're given a false sense of security. They're trying to lull us asleep or appease us. Now, the perspective is here that the more you hear it, the less you're going to question. And that seems to be the same way with a lot of other things going on in the economy and politics and whatever these days. But the more you hear about it, you'll just accept it. Now, it's starting to actually happen right in front of us. So some of the changes that are starting to sort of unravel a little bit right now. And the pace of those changes will pick up as the next few months go on. But again, it's happening right in front of us. That's why I have to laugh. It's almost like it's a preordained, almost like a that's what I'm looking for. It's like they've got stepping stones. Okay, say this, wait for a bit. Do this, wait for a bit. Okay, talk about the big hedge funds and institutional investors now. Okay, great. It's okay. They're good people. We'll say that they're good. They're helping. Okay, then don't be worried when they buy up all the inventory and use nothing for you. So again, once again, we're being played. And my question, everybody, is: are you not concerned about this? I certainly am, and certainly part of my business and effort is to work around. Like, listen, we're not going to change this. I'm one person. A collective group of us can't change. Well, sometimes we can, but we kind of see where things are going. So my perspective is: know your enemy, know where this is headed, find the soft spots, the loopholes, the workarounds to integrate into the process and the system and beat them at their own game, and then supply them with some properties and make some money along the way. Get yourself a better priced property, make some money along the way as well too. So for me, it's all about just understanding what's happened, where we've come from, where this is going, and how we're going to sort of work within the confines of what we're given. So that's my sort of big perspective here. And first of all, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd really love it if you'd smash the subscribe button and help my channel grow. So I really appreciate that. Also, if you think you're a subscriber, if you could please check and resubscribe, as I always mention, because my adds to deletions just don't seem to add up these days. All right, thank you very much. Now, if we further talk about this, another thing here, opportunities knocking right now. So it really is. I've got access to 2 off-market rental properties. Direct access means I control them and have all the information, and I intimately know them. So if you want to take a look at either fixing and flipping or buying to cash flow hold, good deals, strong rental rates, the whole bit, please reach out to me. Also have access to many off-market deals. I see that every so often we ebb and flow, starting to pick up again. Also have access to multifamily units, land, development opportunities, other big deals across the country and also in Florida. What I need particularly is I need to access private lenders. And what I mean by that is people who will want to, engage me and my team, my group in projects. There's a lot of things that are going to happen next little while. And I think it's a great opportunity just literally to take properties out from a source and resell them on the open market. So I need private lenders. Now, what I'm not looking for is hard money lending, because hard money lending is a dime a dozen out there. There's lots of hard money lending suppliers, and really the terms are very difficult because that's just the way hard money works. So my preference is to work with private lenders, private placement. There'll be a lot of control. You can have deed the property, whatever. I don't care. I'm just looking for a better solution than to use the hard money. Also, need to connect with a Las Vegas agent, right? We have clients that are actually looking to purchase in Vegas, and I and a couple of my colleagues, we are going to start to market to that location as well too, with respect to all the pre-foreclosures and short sales and whatever that will be available. So we'd like to look and hook up with primarily prefer a broker, but we'll have a real estate agent now. I do certainly have some pretty strict criteria on how we work together. So if this is interesting to you, send me an email and we'll start the discussion. All right, so enough of that housekeeping right now. Let's go off here. Now, the forbearance volume, exit volume continues to grow. So this all comes into play here. So we see foreclosure statistics and starts and auctions increasing. We have this forbearance exit volume continues to grow. So really, the point here is that this is touted in the media as a positive thing. So people are leaving. An exit means they're leaving forbearance. So when they leave forbearance, we don't necessarily know when they exit at this point in time. Are they exiting on a positive note or a negative note? So in other words, do they have a solution? Are they working on a solution? Do they have nothing? Are they still don't have a income and a job or whatever and can't pay their mortgage? So this seems to be very ambiguous. And some of the statistics that they talk about, so where they say that we're roughly about 4% of all the mortgages are in some sort of forbearance program. Okay, remember what I always say here is that this information is an extrapolation based on samples from about 70% of the services that are out there. So it's not really a very accurate number, but it's the best we can do in the circumstances. So my point is there's more than meets the eye to this, as I always say. So basically we're looking at roughly 4% of the marketplace. Looks like here it says what? Again, we're looking at 4% of them of loans are in some sort of forbearance, right? And that's not bad. But here's the point though. We are seeing an increase in the share of forbearance exits where borrowers do not have a loss mitigation plan in place. Homeowners who are reaching the end of their forbearance term need to contact their servicer to discuss the next steps in the process, as servicers cannot extend forbearance term without talking to the borrower. So here's the thing. The minute the forbearance exit happens, so this is what I don't like about how the statistic is calculated, and I guess there's no other way around it, but I guess I don't, put it this way, I don't like the way it's portrayed in the news information that we see here, because your forbearance program could officially expire, yesterday. So today you're in that column where it says, okay, you're a foreclosure exit, which means the overall statistics of who is in or out of forbearance looks better and looks positive and proactive, whatever. However, it doesn't do anything to explain your current financial situation. What are you doing with your home? Are you selling your home? Are you remaining in your home? Are you paying off your mortgage? Are you refining? Are you falling into loss mitigation issue with the lender? Are you going to fall into foreclosure? See, we just don't know. And some of the statistics, so when you look at the overall statistics with respect to what's happened over the year, it shows positively that a lot of people paid off their loan, got back to making payments, whatever. But what that doesn't show, though, is the fact that a significant amount of people who remain in forbearance have been in it for a number of months. Like they're doing a 12-month, or they're doing a 12-month plus an extension. So you see, the people that are still in forbearance need the forbearance because they don't have a positive outcome solution, and that's sort of where the information gets kind of cloudy, and it's not really openly discussed, or at least what I mean. Like it's almost like the stats don't cover that, and it's too early to see how this is going to impact us. Well, remember, June 30th is the end of forbearance was supposed to go. I guess March 31st. It got extended by the Biden administration until June 30th. Now we'll start. The expectation is 800,000 of these forbearance loans will be coming off the plan, and what's going to happen to them, we don't know. So this is why things are going to pick up, and we'll see how this actually manifests itself as time goes on. So you got to be prepared for that. All right. So this actually came across my desk as well, and so this is one more thing. So if I reference my the top 10 reasons video playlist and the report and everything, one of my reasons is the fact that people are talking about this. Okay, so you've got data companies and economists and analysts and all the people that are sending emails and making the headlines. Well, this actually just popped up today in so when I log into my multiple listing service system, it brings you all this information about read this, read that, here's changes, updates, whatever. This popped up. So it's now the Short Sales and Foreclosure resource. So if I wanted to, I can now take a course that's basically provided by NAR, National Association of Realtors, which is going to give me 7 continuing education credits. That's great. And I can actually spend a little bit more money and be certified. So I can take a course for $35 and learn about short sales and foreclosure, how to be a resource for buyers and sellers. And I can spend another $135 to be certified by NAR. So I don't think I'll be doing that. I don't think I need the course, actually. But the point is that yet here's one more group saying to their I get membership base saying, hey, there's going to be some stuff happening here. You may want to consider this. And I can tell you that a lot of the real estate agents that maybe got their license for the past 5 or 6, 7 years possibly and more than likely have never had to deal with a short sale listing or buyer, etc., and maybe never had to deal with the foreclosure process because nobody wants to get involved in that when the market's ticking up. You see, an appreciated market, stuff like this is not interesting to most people. It doesn't make sense to them. You see, so but I have to laugh because I just saw this. I'm like, okay, it's almost like we're coming full circle now. Now it's like let's now advertise to the realtors out there because they need to be educated because hey, they listen behind the scenes. People that are behind the scenes know what's going to happen in the near future. This is just one more reason to substantiate why we're going to have something happen, and it's starting kind of now. So also, just a quick blurb here. Michael, the Big Short Brewery, basically says it. And again, if you haven't watched The Big Short, I suggest you do. It's a fascinating movie. It's a very fun movie, but it's also very educational on how things played out. His comment here is, this is the greatest bubble of all time in all things by 2 orders of magnitude. So people that understand the business, understand not even real estate, but just basic economy, stocks, the whole bit. Like guys like him understand things at a whole other level, right? And the calling out saying, "Hey, here's the deal. This is the greatest bubble of all time, and it's like it's bigger than the last one. So don't be surprised at what comes down the pike in the next little while here." So anyway, part of supporting what I'm saying here is when I talk about foreclosure auctions being scheduled. So we have a backlog of foreclosures, quote unquote, that's kind of kicking around right now. So the first part of the backlog that'll be cleaned out is the foreclosures that were in process that actually maybe had sale dates coming up that were canceled, or they were close to getting their foreclosure auction sale dates being scheduled. So what we're seeing now, and again, this is Florida, so this is my county where I live in Hillsborough County. I'll show you some others down here in Florida, but what I'm seeing is the fact that this is picking up. So, back a few months ago, a year ago, it was 20 or 30, and back a few months ago, it was like 50 or 60. So now we're starting to see, this is, June was 101 scheduled for the month of June. So that's all that's going to be foreclosed on in Hillsborough County. If I look at what's already scheduled for July, we've got 101 already scheduled for July, and I can tell you that every day that goes on. So today is June 16th. So today in the Hillsborough County court system, the judge is going to be hearing cases, right, that are I guess you could say for foreclosure cases that are going that are what's called final judgment, and they're actually getting everything in order, and the judge will be setting the sale date typically 30 days from today. So even though we've only got 101 scheduled right now in the month of July for Hillsborough County, every day from the 16th all the way, business day until the end of the month, they'll be scheduling, of June, they'll be scheduling a foreclosure case out farther, like a month from now, right? So we'll see the back end of June increase, so this number will increase. Now, if I take a look at another county here, Broward County, 161 that were scheduled in June, and obviously we got 119 that's scheduled currently right now for July. And as I said, same thing. Every day the court's going to schedule more. So, June 16th is today. Next, so if I, maybe in a few days, if I look at the calendar, July 16th should have more foreclosures scheduled on there in the auction calendar than they do today. So that's going to increase as well too. And then just finally here, Miami-Dade, just for some fun, Miami-Dade has 229 foreclosures scheduled for June. And if I look at what's going ahead to next month, they already have 248 scheduled right now. And same thing, they will schedule more over the next couple of days. So we'll probably see a hit about 300 or so. So the point is that, if people think there's no foreclosures happening, it's not the case. Certain states are opening up. Our state here in Florida has a mandate to start moving these things now from the Florida Supreme Court. So it's starting to happen. Every county will be starting to process these. So the backlogs will be processed. We're seeing more foreclosure starts happen here in Florida, and stuff that was sort of in the middle of the process will pick up again, and that's part of the mandate. The mandate from the Florida Supreme Court to the civil court judges across the counties of Florida is basically saying, get these things moving faster and process them, litigate them, close them out, get solutions, because we expect a large volume starting to come in the next little while. So it just goes to show that things are actually happening, opening up. But you don't really hear this in mainstream media. But if you know where to look on the data and sort of do what I do, you can pick up on this pretty quick here. So as I said before, Florida is like the place to buy and invest. It's one of the states with the most single-family rental homes owned by hedge fund companies, stuff like that. So definitely, it's a southern state. It's great climate here. No state income tax. So a lot of people are relocating from the Northeast, from the Midwest, and now we start seeing people coming from California and stuff too, the West Coast going, I've had it. So certainly Florida is one of those states that will always sort of, you'll say, gain opportunity. And, why do I talk about that? Because, well, the distress volume. So really, when we talk about what's going to happen in the future, it's basically a number between 4 million and 11 million. That's what I've heard. Different sources, different groups, etc. So basically, the minimum of 400, maximum of 10 to 11 million foreclosures. Can this make a difference in the housing market? You bet it can. But this is what Wall Street's waiting for. We have to get ahead of the game. We have to get ahead of Wall Street. There will be headwinds. People will try to derail us from doing this. It's what I call my critical housing theory and timing. We know that Wall Street and big buyers don't go down to the homeowner client level to get deals, whereas we will. So that's a big difference in what goes on there. They like to buy, point and click, and we go and engage people. That's the difference. So, for example, this just is the new information that came out for the April single family residential information for my Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater Metro. Okay, the median sales price is $315,000. The median short sale price was $245,000. That's a $70K difference in equity, about a 23% discount. Now, this number does kind of ebb and flow, like it was a bit more, the equity was more last month. This depends on the closings. But the point is, it's not like I'm showing you, hey, $20,000 of equity, $10,000 of equity. I've shown you like 70, 77, $110,000 equity. I've shown you consistently large numbers when you compare what the traditional, single-family home residential sales, median prices versus a short sale median price here. Granted, look at it, 21 homes out of 40, almost 5,000 closings were short sales. So that really means nothing to the marketplace. But what it tells us is that nobody's engaging this opportunity. So when you look at that number and go, well, almost 5,000 were sold in this area, and only 21 were short sales. And then Randy's showing me how many are going to foreclosure auction here every, in the county and this is just one county. If I added the 4 counties, I know that Pinellas has about 100, and Pasco and Hernando probably have about 60 to 70 between them. So we're talking about, almost 300 out of the 4 counties are going to auction every month, and those are opportunities that could be short sales, which is kind of sad. So that's why I've increased my marketing. I'm hitting it hard now because now is the time, and that's what I'm trying to stress to everybody. So if you follow mainstream and you listen to what everyone's talking heads are saying about, will we have a housing crash? No, we won't, blah, 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 forbearance numbers. Ignore them. Ignore all that, okay? Go to where the data is. Go to find the distressed properties. Yeah, this is self-serving for me, and I admit that, and I don't care about that at this point in time. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there's an alternative way to find properties and to do deals that's not on the retail marketplace where you're paying an arm and leg for. That's the whole point here. So whether you're a primary residence, second home buyer, or want to be an investor, or do all three, which you can with what I can show you here, this is the great opportunity that's going to come down the next little bit here. So as I mentioned here, as I'm losing my voice because I'm talking a lot, but so this is what's happening, guys, and the numbers show themselves. The numbers are increasing of the opportunities. I do have training, so connect with me on this. That's the the what I call like the premier product. If you're not interested in that, then I have my secondary product, which is more, I guess you could say entry level. But the point is that, and we're seeing much more zombie foreclosures too. So, some of the mainstream media is also saying the foreclosures that are foreclosing are zombies. Well, guess what? Because I drive and look at a lot of the foreclosure properties that are going to sale, and people are living in them. So if you think that all the properties going to foreclosure are all vacant and abandoned, it is incorrect. It's just a nice, way of saying, we're not throwing people out on the street, and don't worry because these are properties that don't make any difference anyway. You see that they need to go. So again, it's all how you spin it. I'm out there in the field, so I kind of see what things are, what's happening, firsthand. So I will tell you how to engage the distressed housing market. Just connect with me, Randy at luxurysourcesales.com. That's all you have to do. I know I have a lot of people I need to get a hold of, and I'm working through that right now. So if you've emailed me and you've connected, let's go back and forth. I really also want to sort of suggest saying if we've talked before and you've kind of gone, I don't think I'm ready for this yet, you may want to reconsider because it's happening, guys. Now, we're not going to see the significant, next month, we're not going to see a big shift in price points because that's not going to happen as of yet, right? Because it's not enough. There's not enough distress that's coming on the market that's available to do that. But, it's almost like you don't have to, my point to you is that you don't have to wait for it to come on the market. You can go get it and it comes on your own market and you've got a great deal. That's the difference. So it's just all about timing and how much effort you want to take and do on your own. And I can help you with that. But the point, though, is that Stuff's available. I'm proving to you with the numbers and statistics and what's actually happening in the marketplace now that there are deals to be had if you actually want to go and get them on, we'll call it on your own or have with some help, of course. But if you want to do a little more effort because your real estate agent's not bringing you those type of deals. All right, guys. Thanks once again for the views, likes, comments. GetHousingData.com is my partnership with Foreclosure.com. So if you want to look at the distressed property opportunities in your area, go here, GetHousingData.com. Sign up. It's going to be well worth your time and effort because you can see what's happening in your area. Look at the distressed properties, pre-foreclosures, foreclosure auctions, tax deed auctions, other probates and things like that, other distressed sales. They're the number one listing spot for distressed properties across the U.S. All right, guys, thanks very much. We'll look forward to speaking with you by the end of the week. You take care.